What's up, guys? Nelson Dellis here for another episode of Random Memory Tips. And a lot of you guys have been asking me for shorter 5 quick how-to tips rather than the long tutorials, which I'll keep on doing, but I want to give some quick tips out there for memory in general. Maybe not specifically how to do something, but 5 general tips on some topic to help you with your memory game. I'm in Hong Kong right now. It's about to typhoon outside. I figure I'd just make a little video for you guys. So let's go. Alright, so I've made a number of videos so far: how to memorize decks of cards, how to memorize text, how to memorize Korean, all this stuff. But I've never really done a basic 5 tips to generally improve your memory. So if you want to improve your memory, these are the 5 general tips you need to follow to have an unstoppable memory. Tip number 1, you gotta focus. Being good at memorizing starts with having great focus and paying attention. Here's a cool thing. If you're saying to yourself, I have a hard time focusing, I'm always thinking about other things, getting into memory will actually help your focus. As your memory gets better and better with practice, you'll find that you become better at focusing. So it kind of feeds itself. But I often tell myself, if I want to focus, just being aware of that fact and telling myself in my head, hey, I should probably pay attention, or hey, this is important. I'm going to hone in all my mental strength on this right now so that I can memorize it. You'll find yourself doing that more as you get into this memory world, and the more that you memorize, the stronger that focus power will become. Tip number 2, practice. What are we talking about? Practice?
What we talking about? Practice, man. What are we talking about?
I know that practice gets a bad rap. I know practice can take up time. That's what practice is doing something when you probably could be doing something else. But you don't get good at something unless you practice. Sorry. That's the bad news for you, but that's for anything in the world. If you have plans to be good at one particular thing and you think you're going to be good at it without practice, you're wrong. You gotta practice. The great thing about memory and practice is that you don't necessarily have to sit down like I do with a shuffle deck of cards, with a printout of numbers, and all this stuff that you have to prep. Practice for memory can happen in your daily life. You have to-do lists, you have grocery lists, you have people you're going to meet, you have directions you need to memorize. All these types of things that come in your daily life, you can practice with those. Now, I know it's tempting to want to type in all those things in your phone, put it on your computer, get someone else to put it in your logbook, whatever, your calendar. Make the effort. Practice. Try to use your memory to remember things that are useful to you in your everyday life. Use your memory or you'll lose your memory. Tip number 3, picture things. So if you watched any of my videos so far, you've noticed that every time I'm talking about memorizing something, the first step is always turning what we're memorizing into a picture you can visualize in your mind's eye. And that's always the first step of memorizing something. Figuring out a way to encode the information into a picture. If it's a complicated number, how do I turn that into a picture? If it's a poem that's super abstract, how do I turn those words into something I can visualize? And the list goes on. So as long as you can find a way to visualize what you're memorizing, that's step 1. Our brains remember pictures better than words. It's proven. There's been studies that show this, and it's obvious. If I show you a very abstract symbol, numbers or password codes or whatever, it's hard for our brains to look at that and say, that's digestible, I can memorize that. You can't. It takes a lot of effort. But if I show you a series of pictures, I guarantee you will remember those very well, even if you're not trying. That's because your brain just soaks that stuff right up. So think in pictures, encode the information that you're trying to memorize into a picture. All right, tip number 4, store it. Find a way to store the information that you're memorizing. A lot of people ask me what that means. I've shown it in a bunch of my videos with the memory palace, the linking system. It's basically putting those pictures that you encoded into your brain in the location where you can easily retrieve it. Because that's really what memory is all about. Is sure, I can memorize something and look at it, but it's no use unless you can retrieve it easily, right? If you know exactly where it is when you need it. So that's a big tip. Find a way to store it. And by store it, what I'm really saying is find a way to relate it, to anchor it to things that you already know. To learn more about this step, watch some of my other videos. I'll link them in the description. And tip number 5. So everybody asks me, how do I get that information in my head forever, for a long time. We're talking about long-term memory here. And the answer is, and this is tip number 5, is review, review, review. There's no way around this, unfortunately. If you want to move something into your long-term memory, you got to review it. Quite frequently at the beginning, but then over time you can taper off and it'll slowly work its way into your long-term memory. There are apps to help you do this. A great one I like to use is Anki. You can make flashcard decks and it tells you when you need to review a specific flashcard because it's been a while. To be clear, all the techniques I teach get information into your head really quickly, which is important, but the key to keeping it for a long time is to review. Now, the nice thing about storing the information, this is tip number 4, is once it's in your head, you never have to look at a piece of paper again. You can review by just thinking about it. Actually try to recall, go through the active process of recalling what you memorized in your head or say it out loud, whatever. That is review in itself. And the more you do that, the more you internalize it, the more you get it into your long-term memory. That's it, guys. Short little video, just 5 tips on how to improve your memory. More to come in the future. If you like this video, smash that like button, share it, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with your friends. I'm gonna try and get back to the United States tomorrow. Hopefully my flight doesn't get canceled because of this typhoon. I'll be back with some more videos real soon. Peace.